Welcome to Ekisa ScreenLogger version 5 standard technical training. The target audience for this training module is technical staff involved with the installation, operation and support of the standard ScreenLogger product. Let's have a look at the agenda. We will start with a general product overview of ScreenLogger, then we'll look at typical deployments. We'll focus a lot on the Management Studio user interface. Next, we'll cover some technical notes, and end with technical support. Product overview. This is a typical diagram of a ScreenLogger system. It has several components, including the workstation software to record the desktops, the screen server service that receives and stores the video recordings, a configurator that manages communication and general operations, the ScreenLogger Management Studio user interface, and a software development kit. A ScreenLogger system can operate in standalone mode, that is a self-contained system. When pre-selected applications appear on the workstation desktop, a recording rule starts the screen recording of the desktop, and when the application is closed or minimized, the recording stops. This is useful in compliance back-office environments where standard operating procedures need to be monitored and recorded. It can also operate in integrated mode, where a third-party application is integrated with the ScreenLogger software development kit. For example, in a call center, the ScreenLogger system is typically controlled by a voice recorder. When a call center agent commences a telephone conversation, the voice recorder sends a command to the ScreenLogger system to start the screen recording. When the call terminates, a similar message is sent to stop the screen recording. ScreenLogger can also operate in both modes simultaneously. Let's have a closer look at the specific components. The first and most important component is the configurator service. It provides a single point of system configuration and event management. The configurator commands and controls screen recording activities and governs the communication between ScreenLogger components. Licensing is managed and enforced by the configurator service. In a nutshell, the configurator is the brain of the system. The next component is the workstation. Desktop application software is installed on all workstations, where agents perform daily functions that may require screen recording. The workstation software hosts the recording rules engine and performs screen capture when it receives a recording command. Then it performs video compression and encryption, but it does not store the screen data. The screen data is transmitted to a screen server, which receives compressed video streams from multiple workstations and stores the screen video on recording volumes in a proprietary format. On playback, the screen server sends the request screen recording to a playback client. For integrated operation, the audio and video playback functionality is typically provided by the voice recording product suite. However, screen playback can also be done from the Management Studio. The Management Studio is the user interface of the configurator service and may be installed on any machine on the network. It has various functions. It allows the administrator, supervisor and other users to view, configure and manage the ScreenLogger system. Screen servers and workstations may be configured and assigned to the ScreenLogger system. Recording and blanking rules can be configured. In addition, the Management Studio allows live monitoring of workstations in real time, as well as screen recording search and playback functionality. An agent in the Ekisa ScreenLogger context is simply a Windows user. Each time a user signs onto Windows, the workstation software reports this to the configurator service, which can be seen in the Management Studio. Seating. Screen recording can be done per workstation or per agent. Each seating type can have its own set of rules. For fixed seating, the recording is governed by the workstation rules, no matter which agent is signed in. For free seating, it is the other way around. The recording is governed by the agent rules, no matter on which workstation the agent signs in. Session. A recording session, in the ScreenLogger context, is a period of time when an agent is logged into a workstation and during which rules do not change. Each session can have multiple recordings. To put this into context, consider an agent signing in at 8 o'clock in the morning and works his shift up to 12 o'clock noon. That will be one session. If another agent signs in at 1 p.m. and works until 5 p.m., a new session is created. Triggers. Screen recording can be triggered in several ways. By detecting predefined Windows applications, for example Excel or Outlook. By time schedules, for example between 8 a.m. and noon. By keyboard hotkeys. As well as by an external third-party application which has been integrated via the software development kit, typically a voice recorder. Triggers are used for recording rules and blanking rules. A recording rule is exactly what it says, a combination of triggers to start and stop a screen recording. A blanking rule is a combination of triggers to generate a blank desktop in the screen recording, for example, when credit card details are displayed on the screen. It's a requirement by the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard or PCI DSS that credit card information and other sensitive financial information may not be recorded, and therefore a blanking rule is used to make the entire desktop recording black during this period. Encryption. End-to-end encryption is used for all network communication. The screen recording video can also be encrypted if required for enhanced security. Auto discovery. As ScreenLogger workstations and screen servers are installed, they will automatically be discovered and registered by the configurator. However, all ScreenLogger components need to be on the same network segment as UDP broadcasting is used. Using auto discovery has the advantage that the configurator name doesn't have to be provided during installation. Auto discovery may be useful for small on-premises deployments, but is not practical for multi-segment networks or cloud deployments. In these instances, the configurator host name or system name must be provided during installation. Multiple screens can be recorded with the Ekisa ScreenLogger. Dual screen recording is supported by default, but recording more than 2 screens is a licensed feature which needs to be enabled. ScreenLogger can also record remote desktops. This is also a licensed feature. The screen recording is performed on the Windows server that hosts the remote desktops and not on the workstation. Therefore, no ScreenLogger software needs to be installed on the workstation. Thin client or virtual web workstations are therefore supported. Note that remote desktop recording is CPU resource intensive on the Windows server. Cloud recording supports distributed recording and allows the screen server service as well as the configurator service to be installed on a cloud or remote platform. Workstations can therefore be located anywhere in the world, as long as the internet connection is fast and stable. The hosts of the configurator and screen servers need to be supplied as fully qualified domain names when installing the workstation software. A comprehensive software development kit is available that provides development for third-party integration. The main functional areas of the SDK are screen recording control, screen video playback, informational queries and event notification. 2 application programming interfaces are supported. The most comprehensive is the .NET Framework API, which supports both DivX and Google VP8 codecs, and high availability recording control. The REST API supports the Google VP8 codec with web playback using the native HTML5 video player control. Screen recordings can be exported as AVI or WebM files, depending on the codec used. Let's have a look at licensing models. When the software is installed, trial evaluation is enabled for 90 days. It allows for 3 workstations on 1 screen server. Commercial licensing requires a purchase order. License features are dispatched via a license activation file. Both CAPEX and OPEX commercial models are supported. For CAPEX, the licenses are perpetual. but require annual software maintenance plan subscription. OPIX is offered as software as a service with either monthly or quarterly subscription, with software maintenance plan subscription included in the SaaS fee. Proof of concept temporary licensing may be requested for prospects that wish to evaluate the ScreenLogger product for a month or two before ordering. This requires prior approval, but no purchase order is required. The licenses will expire at a predetermined date. The license features are the number of dedicated recording licenses, the number of concurrent recording licenses, the software version that may be deployed, multi-screen recording, remote desktop recording and high availability functionality. A dedicated recording license provides prioritized screen recording for a named workstation that is assigned to the system. The workstation will always be recorded and is not conditional to other workstations being recorded. Hence, it provides dedicated or prioritized screen recording. Dedicated recording licenses apply to static workstations. A concurrent recording license provides statistical screen recording for quality control purposes. It is not prioritized and operates on a first-come, first-served basis. Concurrent recording licenses apply to dynamic workstations. When the licensed limit for concurrent screen recordings has been reached and the recording of another dynamic workstation is triggered, it will not be recorded until one of the concurrent recording licenses has been released. Let's look at a practical example. Consider a ScreenLogger system with 100 dedicated recording licenses and 100 concurrent recording licenses in a call center of 1,000 workstations. Of these, any 100 workstations can be configured as static workstations to provide dedicated and prioritized screen recording. The remaining 900 workstations may then all be configured as dynamic workstations, of which no more than 100 can be recorded at any single point in time. At maximum capacity, there will be 200 simultaneous recordings, 100 for the dedicated and 100 for the concurrent licenses. Deployment. The ScreenLogger software suite consists of a number of installers. The configurator service should be installed on a Windows Server platform. The Management Studio software can be installed on this server or any other computer on the network. The first screen server may be installed on the same server platform as the configurator service, but thereafter, each screen server requires its own dedicated Windows Server platform. The workstation software needs to be installed on every machine that requires local screen recording. Lastly, the SDK is typically installed in a development environment for third-party software integration with the ScreenLogger. The SQL native client driver is installed with the configurator software and is required when the ScreenLogger system operates with SQL database indexing instead of CSV flat file indexing. Please refer to the ScreenLogger technical guide for more information on the indexing mechanisms. When deploying the ScreenLogger system the first time for initial evaluation purposes, it is strongly recommended to follow the quick startup guide for simple step-by-step instructions. 1. Download the software from the Ekisa website, www.ekisa.com. 2. Obtain 2 Windows machines. The first will be used as the server and the other as the agent's workstation. 3. Install the ScreenLogger configurator, screen server, and Management Studio software on the server machine, and the workstation software on the client machine. 4. On the server, open the ScreenLogger Management Studio application, sign in with the demo credentials. 5. Assign the screen server and workstation to the ScreenLogger system node. 6. Set up an application recording rule for the workstation in Management Studio. 7. Sign in to the workstation and open the application to be recorded, then close or minimize the application after a while. 8. Search for the screen recording in Management Studio and playback the screen video. The minimum deployment requires only one server platform, as the configurator service may share a platform with the ScreenServer service. The ScreenLogger workstation software needs to be installed on every agent workstation. The Management Studio can run on any machine on the network. Full-scale deployment. In a typical commercial deployment, there may be dozens, hundreds or even thousands of workstations to be recorded. The ScreenLogger workstation software must be installed on each of these for local screen recording. During the installation, the host name of the server where the configurator is installed must be supplied. This can be done with an automated installation script. If the server is hosted in the cloud, the fully qualified domain system name must be supplied as well. If there is more than one ScreenServer instance, then the first instance may be installed on the same platform as the configurator. The second and subsequent ScreenServer instances must be installed on their own server platforms. The minimum server specifications required for the configurator and ScreenServer software are documented in the ScreenLogger Technical Guide. The Management Studio software can be installed on any convenient machine, but it is customary to install an instance thereof on the main server platform. If the XVID video coded is preferred to the Google VP8 codec, then it must be installed on each workstation to be recorded, as well as on the machine that hosts the Management Studio software for playback. Please note that a specific variant of the XVID video codec that Ekisa has modified for optimal screen recording is required. It can be obtained at www.ekisa.com/codecs/xvid.htm. A typical deployment with a voice recorder product requires that the voice recorder original equipment manufacturer, the OEM, integrates with one of the application programming interfaces of the ScreenLogger software development kit. The API provides screen recording start and stop control, video blanking, playback functionality, various query methods and event notification. At the bottom of the diagram, you can see that the voice recorder is effectively the master and the ScreenLogger is the slave. The voice recorder knows when voice calls are made to or from agents and therefore controls both voice recording and associated screen recording at the same time. Synchronized voice and screen playback is typically also controlled by the voice recording software suite. Management Studio. When the ScreenLogger Management Studio is launched, it needs to connect to the configurator service. The host name of the server that hosts the configurator service must be supplied. If a domain server is present, the fully qualified domain name is required. It is also possible to provide a public system alias name if the configurator is cloud-hosted. TCP port 4493 is used for communication between the configurator and the Management Studio. You may check the Automatically Reconnect checkbox if preferred. Next, sign in with the demo credentials if the ScreenLogger system has not been licensed yet and is running in the trial evaluation mode. The Management Studio interface consists of three main areas. On the left-hand side are the system views with tabs for the tree view, the workstation's view and the agent's view. There's a toolbar at the top. The Details panel provides more information on the specific component selected, and at the bottom there is a status log. A workstation is automatically registered on its first connection to the configurator service. There are two ways to add a workstation. The first is with manual configuration. The name of the server that hosts the configurator service must be supplied when installing the workstation software. When the workstation starts up, it will connect to the configurator service and be visible in Management Studio. The second method is with auto discovery. Auto discovery can only be used if UDP broadcasting is allowed on a local area network and all system components are on the same local area network. The auto discovery feature must be enabled in Management Studio as it is off by default. In this mode, the configurator service broadcasts its own identity on a UDP port on the network when a new instance of the ScreenLogger workstation is installed without specifying the configurator hostname. It listens on the UDP port for a periodic broadcast from the configurator. When discovered, the workstation is automatically registered on the configurator service. Note that only a single instance of the configurator service should be installed on the local area network for auto discovery to work correctly. Licensing procedure. Click on the licensing icon in the top toolbar. The system's identification is indicated at the top left. Below the configurator name is the machine ID. This is a unique identifier for the ScreenLogger system that is derived from various attributes of the server that hosts the configurator service. The licensing mechanism relies on the machine ID. If the machine ID changes, for example if the server host name is changed, then the licensing will be invalidated. To create a commercial license or proof of concept license, click on Create License Request File. This will generate an XML file that can be saved to a convenient location. The license request file needs to be sent to support@ekisa.com with a reference to the purchase order that was issued for the ScreenLogger system. Ekisa will validate the license request file and issue a license activation file containing the license features ordered. The license activation file will only be valid for the server with the associated machine ID. Once the license activation file is received from Ekisa, click on Register License Activation File to import and register the new license features issued. The configurator service must then be restarted for the new licensing to take effect. After reconnecting Management Studio to the configurator, a new sign-in is required. The demo credentials will no longer be valid. Instead, sign in using the backdoor mechanism as described in the Management Studio user manual to gain full access to configure system users, settings and components in Management Studio. Click on the licensing icon in the top toolbar again to view the details of the licensed features. Creating system users. Click on the settings icon in the top toolbar and then in System Users, click on New User and provide a system username and password. Next, click on the User Profile tab and select which profile to use. There are 5 predefined user profiles. The Administrator profile provides full access to all functionality. With the Supervisor profile, workstations and screen servers can be configured as required, but access to system settings and users are restricted. The SDK Full Client profile provides recording control functionality and access to playback screen recordings, while the SDK Player profile allows screen playback but not recording control. The Observer profile allows a user to monitor the system, but no changes to the system or component configurations are allowed. For user profiles that allow SDK screen recording playback, playback restrictions can be set per workstation or per agent. Let us have a closer look at the tree view in the panel on the left. It contains a view of all the ScreenLogger components registered on the configurator, including screen servers, workstations and agents. The ScreenLogger system node holds the components that are licensed and enabled for screen recording. At the bottom is a node for any unassigned components that will be ignored. They are not subject to licensing capacities. Drag and drop functionality is supported. For example, drag a workstation to a different screen server or to the unassigned node. Click on a screen server in the tree view. The Details panel will show the screen server status and name, with 2 tabs. The Summary tab holds information about the screen server's identification, status, storage, number of workstations assigned to the screen server, and ports used. The tab for volumes indicates which disk partitions have been configured for screen recording. It is strongly recommended to not use the partition that hosts the operating system, as this may place unnecessary strain on the OS resource management when the disk becomes full. For maximum performance, a dedicated SSD drive should be allocated to each recording volume. Disk usage is checked periodically, and if available recording space gets too low, disk cleanup is performed whereby the oldest sessions, over all recording volumes, are deleted first. This is a first in first out, or FIFO, system. If it is desirable to limit the amount of storage used for screen recording, the data retention can be set to as custom-defined maximum period of time. Note that the oldest screen recording data will not be purged immediately. It may take up to a day or two. Click on a workstation in the tree view. The Details panel will show the workstation status and name, with 4 tabs. The Summary tab holds information about the workstation's identification, status, settings, commands for a test recording, and ports used. A workstation's status can be offline, when not connected to the configurator; online, when connected to the configurator, but not ready for recording, example when unassigned; in session, when ready for recording; and recording, when it is being recorded. The workstation location can be either local, when the ScreenLogger workstation's software is installed and running on the local machine with a Windows operating system, or remote for a virtual workstation or thin client in a remote desktop session. Recording is done on the Windows server. Seating types can be fixed or free. Fixed seating is when an agent always uses the same workstation platform, or when the recording rules are the same for everyone. This means that the rules are bound to the workstation name. Free seating is when an agent can use any available workstation platform, but the rules are bound to the agent or Windows user. Video codecs. Xvid provides excellent compression, but has no support for HTML5 video playback. The Ekisa optimized Xvid codec needs to be installed on every workstation to be recorded. VP80 has good compression and supports HTML5 WebM video playback. A workstation may have multiple recording rules, each consisting of 1 or 2 triggers. A remote trigger implements the software development kit's remote mechanism to start or stop a screen recording on a workstation. All workstations come with the default remote trigger pre-configured. A single application trigger is used to start a screen recording when a specific Windows application is opened or activated, and stops when it is closed or minimized. The application title search text is used to search the titles of all active applications, and if a match is found, recording is started. A dual application trigger is used when one application starts the recording and another stops it. As the name implies, a time trigger is used to trigger screen recordings between a start and stop time of the day. Keyboard triggers are very seldom used and has limited functionality, as it is only a user with Windows administrator rights that can use them. A blanking rule is used to hide the desktop when confidential information is being displayed that should not be recorded in compliance of PCI DSS, for example, during online banking or when a customer's credit card details are displayed. When a blanking rule is triggered, the entire desktop, or all desktops for multi-screen recording, is displayed in black and a custom message is displayed in the center of the screen. Similar to recording rules, blanking rules can be triggered by a Windows application or from a remote API client such as a voice recorder. Screen playback. Screen recordings of the selected workstation can be searched and played back in this tab. A date filter and optional filter for the agent username is provided. In the tree listing on the left, the top-level nodes are the sessions. The session start time is indicated as well as the number of screen recordings made in that session. Expanding a session reveals the individual screen recordings. The start time and duration is displayed for each recording. Click on a recording in the tree listing to open the screen player. Controls are provided to start and pause playback, step forward or backward. Adjust the playback speed. Zoom in and show the video at full-scale resolution, or export the recording to a video file. Live video monitoring. The live desktop video of a workstation can be viewed in real time by selecting the Live Video tab. The workstation must be assigned to the system node and its status must be either in session or recording. This is very useful for training and supervisor monitoring of agents during problematic calls. Configuring agents. Click on an agent in the tree view. The Details panel will show the agent status and name, with 2 tabs. The Summary tab holds information about the agent's identification and status. The Rules tab is similar to the Rules tab of workstations, except that agent rules are used with free seating. 2 alternative views are available to view the ScreenLogger components. The Workstations view provides functionality to search workstations and do bulk editing. A table is displayed with workstation icon states on the left, the name of the workstation, its IP address, which agent is signed in on that workstation, and also which screen server it is assigned to. Click on Show Filters to show the various filter options at the top of the screen. One can filter on workstation name, IP address, agent name, screen server, license type, location, seating type, video codec, desktop icon visibility, whether it's assigned to the system node, and its state, or any combination thereof. This can be used to find a specific collection of workstations. At the bottom, click on Show Actions. There are various possibilities. Workstations can be assigned to a specific screen server. The license type can be changed from static to dynamic or vice versa. The seating can be changed from free seating to fixed seating and vice versa. The video codec can be set, and the display of the desktop icon on the workstation can be switched on or off. In addition, the collection of workstations can be assigned to the system, unassigned or deleted. It is also possible to copy a workstation's rules to other workstations. The agent's view is similar to the workstation's view, but with less options. It shows a table of agent states, the name of the agent, which workstation the agent is signed into, and whether it's assigned to the system or not. There are filters at the top for agent username, the system assignment, and the state. The actions at the bottom include assign to system, unassign, delete agents, as well the functionality to copy an agent's rules to other agents. Click on the Settings icon in the top toolbar. Settings are grouped into Users, Options, Indexing and Preferences. We already covered how to configure system users earlier in this session. System options are grouped into Workstations, Discovery and Ports. The workstation options include an option to show the user principal name when the system runs on a domain, set the video compression codec, customize the text message displayed during screen blanking, enable video encryption, and to generate padding video when the desktop is locked. The Discovery tab shows an option to enable or disable auto-discovery broadcasting. If a workstation is discovered or registered on the first connection, one can specify how it should be assigned. There are 3 options. The one is to not assign it to the system, i.e., it will be attached to the unassigned node. Or it can be assigned to the system node as a static workstation until the capacity of the dedicated recording licenses has been reached, and lastly it can be assigned to the system as a dynamic workstation. The last tab shows the ports in use. For more information about the ports, please refer to the ScreenLogger technical guide. The settings for indexing allow the administrator to switch between CSV flat file indexing and SQL database indexing. CSV flat file indexing is the default and should be used for smaller systems with data storage of less than 1 terabyte. As the name suggests, SQL database indexing requires a Microsoft SQL server for indexing and should be considered for very large systems with massive storage capacities. Please refer to the ScreenLogger technical guide for guidance on when and how to switch over from the one indexing mechanism to the other. The last section for settings is for user preferences. The live video monitoring update period is the period between image updates when performing live video monitoring. The minimum is 1 second. The component status update period is the refresh period when the states of components such as workstations and screen servers update. For smaller systems, less than 1,000 workstations, the component status update period can be fast, for example, less than 10 seconds. But for very large deployments up to 8,000 workstations per ScreenLogger system, longer status update periods are recommended, for example, 30 seconds. It is also recommended to increase this value for remote or cloud connections. The configurator connection check period refers to a heartbeat mechanism that monitors the connection between the management studio and the configurator. If it is detected that the configurator is no longer available for whatever reason, Management Studio will automatically disconnect. For remote or cloud connections, this period should be increased to 15 seconds or more. The tree view will be refreshed and rebuilt if there has been no user interaction with the Management Studio for some time. This is to ensure that the tree view remains up to date if more workstations are discovered automatically. The tree view idle rebuild period determines this interval. The number of sessions returned on doing a search in the workstation playback screen is limited to the value of the maximum session count in playback. On very busy systems where dozens of sessions are created per week on a workstation, specifying a date range that spans months can result in very large delays before the workstation's sessions are listed. To reduce this delay, it is recommended to either use shorter date ranges or decrease the maximum number of sessions returned on a search operation. The tick box for Expand Workstation Tree Nodes on Startup is used to expand the nodes of the tree view to show all workstations on launching the Management Studio. If not, the nodes will be collapsed. If Update Status of Visible Nodes Only is enabled, the status of only the visible components will be updated. This option should be unchecked except for very large systems to improve the component status refresh speed. For very busy systems, there may be a noticeable delay when selecting workstation playback, as the search for recordings can take rather long. In this case, it is suggested to uncheck Search for Recordings on selecting workstation, and use the search button in the workstation playback screen to list the sessions. Note that on the Management Studio's connection screen, there is a link for Info on the right of the configurator name. This allows the user to select between a local connection or a cloud connection. If Cloud Connection is selected, a number of preferences will be changed to preset values that are suitable for cloud connections. This will make the Management Studio more responsive when the internet connection is substandard, but status updates will take a bit longer to render. Technical notes. We'll start off with some notes on domains. The Ekisa ScreenLogger system supports DHCP dynamic IP address allocation. Therefore, all ScreenLogger components need to be configured by machine name and not the IP address. With a domain controller, the fully qualified domain name must be used when referencing a server. If there are name lookup issues on site, a simple test to verify if a workstation is on the same domain as the server that hosts the configurator and screen server services is to try to ping the name of the server from the workstation or playback client. In the absence of a DHCP server where all IP addresses are static, the hosts file may be edited to ensure name resolution, but this should be considered a temporary measure. The ports to open on a firewall are listed in the ScreenLogger technical guide. To troubleshoot a failed connection between ScreenLogger components, consider to switch off the firewall momentarily if the environment is safe to do so. When another ScreenLogger system is present on the same local area network and auto-discovery is enabled, then UDP broadcasting will cause conflicts at the workstations. When a workstation receives a UDP broadcast message from one configurator, it will try to connect to that configurator using the server hostname that is included in the UDP broadcast message. But when a second UDP broadcast message is received from another configurator, the workstation will close the connection to the first configurator and attempt to connect to the second configurator. This creates a cyclic unstable condition where the connections are repeatedly dropped and reconnected. To resolve this, disable the auto-discovery feature in the settings of Management Studio. All control messages have end-to-end encryption using a public and private key pair. In addition, the video recordings can also be encrypted for enhanced safety. If enabled, a system-wide encryption password is required in the settings of Management Studio. On playback, the encryption password must be supplied to decrypt and view the screen recordings. Please note that Ekisa does not provide video encryption key management. The system administrator needs to keep a date-stamped log of encryption passwords and manage the use thereof. A storage calculator is available on the web portal of Ekisa to estimate the screen recording storage requirements of a call center. The blue fields are fields that are editable. Start off in the time section by stating the working hours per day, working days per week, and recording duty cycle, which is the ratio of active recording time to total time available. For example, a duty cycle of 90% implies that for every 10 minutes, the agent workstation needs to be recorded for 9 minutes. This will calculate the total recording time per week per workstation. Next, state the attributes of a typical desktop to be recorded, including the desktop resolution, number of monitors per desktop, and capture rate. The default capture rate of 1 image per second is strongly recommended as any higher rates will consume a lot more storage and not necessarily add value. The desktop activity is an indication of how busy a typical agent desktop is. Use low if there is very little activity on the desktop, or the desktop remains stationary for long periods of time. For example, in the Time is website, the browser screen remains stationary during a minute except for the digits that change for the seconds. Use high when there is a lot of frequent changes on the desktop, for example when videos are often played. Medium is selected by default, and indicates a combination of a lot of desktop changes, for example, when applications are opened or dragged on the desktop, followed by periods of low or no activity. The video codec also plays a significant role in storage requirements. For typical low to medium activity, the XVID codec requires about half the storage as the VP80 codec. With the above parameters specified, the storage rate in kilobyte per second per workstation is calculated. The last parameters required is the number of workstations to be recorded. This produces the total storage required per week and the total network bandwidth required. Technical specifications. Let us first look at the on-premises capabilities of the ScreenLogger system. The key values are indicated for both indexing mechanisms. In general, SQL database indexing allows for higher performance and larger systems. Whereas the limit for CSV flat file indexing is 1000 workstations, using SQL database indexing pushes the limit on the number of workstations per screen server to 2000. And the number of workstations per ScreenLogger system to an estimated value of 8000. This upper limit is estimated due to the lack of physical resources. The upper limits for recordings per server and for recordings in the SQL database are also estimated. For cloud-based screen recording, the performance is limited by internet connection speeds and stability. In ideal conditions, the maximum number of workstations per screen server is estimated to be 750, and the number of workstations per ScreenLogger system 7500. Finally, let us look at the support procedure for Ekisa ScreenLogger. All ScreenLogger components log diagnostics information to the Windows Event Viewer. Two log files are used, one for the runtime information and the other for operational information. The contents of these two logs are the primary source of information required by the Ekisa help desk to analyze and understand the sequence of events that led up to a problem situation on site. In addition, the ScreenLogger settings and configuration data is also collected with system information of the host platform. The diagnostic information needs to be collected on each machine involved in a problem scenario, which usually involves both server and workstation. To collect the required diagnostic information on the server that hosts the configurator, open the following file location and run the executable called Ekisa Diag utility from a command prompt with elevated access rights, i.e., as administrator. When the collection process is completed, a zip file titled ekisadiag.zip is created in the program data folder for Ekisa on the server. Note that this zip file will also contain diagnostics for the screen server located on the same server platform. To collect the diagnostic information on a workstation, follow a similar process by opening the following file location and run the executable called Ekisa Diag utility. When the collection process is completed, a zip file titled ekisadiag.zip is created in the program data folder for Ekisa on the workstation. Support policies. OEM partners must please ensure that all technical staff that install or support the Ekisa ScreenLogger product undergoes ScreenLogger standard technical training. OEM technical staff are required to provide on-site or remote Tier 1 to Tier 3 support to end users. Ekisa provides Tier 4 support to OEM partners only. No support services will be provided to end users and unqualified third-party service providers. Ekisa provides support only to ScreenLogger sites that have valid software maintenance plans. SMPs must be renewed annually. Ekisa provides email and remote support services during South African office hours free of charge. After-hours support will be rendered at a nominal fee and requires prior arrangement. Support procedure. Technical support should be requested per email sent to support@ekisa.com. Response time is next business day. To log a support case, please supply the ScreenLogger machine ID, which can be found in the Management Studio on the licensing page. ekisadiag.zip files on platforms where problem is experienced, usually server and workstation. Supportive background information as relevant, for example the network layout, steps to reproduce problem, screen captures of configurations and error messages, etc. Website portal. OEM partners are encouraged to sign into the Ekisa web portal to obtain software and resources. The latest ScreenLogger software can be downloaded. Documents include all ScreenLogger manuals, the latest datasheet and some technical notes. The modified XVID codec can be downloaded and installed on workstations if required. The storage and terminal server capacity calculator is available, as well as some useful support tools. This is the end of this training session. For more information and details, visit our website at ekisa.com or send us an email. Thank you for your attendance.